Good morning, Dumpy Trumpy. And, yeah, I get to call you that because I have dumping syndrome. Part of what I'm reading today is because I'm in a lot of pain. The tumor in my elbow gets exacerbated by the rain and makes me a little cranky. So instead of being cranky to myself, I'm going to be cranky to you, Donald. I'm reading today from Ordinary Men, Reserve Police Battalion 101 and the Final Solution in Poland by Christopher R. Browning. They were called Ordinary Men because that's what they were. They were the Reserve Police Battalion. These were not the people who went into this wanting to kill people. They're the ones that, well, you'll hear. I don't always say the German names right and the Polish names of places, so I'm sorry about that. Departing from Bulgaraj around 2 a.m., the truck convoy arrived in Josfow, just as the sky was beginning to lighten. Trapp assembled the men in a half circle and addressed them. After explaining the battalion's murderous assignment, he made his extraordinary offer. Any of the older men who did not feel up to the task that lay before them could step out. How gracious of him. Trapp paused, and after some moments, one man from 3rd Company, Otto Julius Schmi, I think I'm mispelling his name a lot incorrectly, so I am sorry. Not to him, but to you who are watching this, stepped forward. Captain Hoffman, who had arrived in Josfow directly from Zakrzau with the 3rd Platoon of 3rd Company, had not been part of the officers' meeting in Bulgaraj the day before, and was furious that one of his men had been the first to break ranks. Hoffman began to berate Schmi, but Trapp cut him off. After he had taken Schmi under his protection, some 10 or 12 other men stepped forward as well. They turned in their rifles and were told to await a further assignment from the major. Which, ICE, U.S. military, even Nazis walked away. Even some Nazis said no. Trapp then summoned the company commanders and gave them their respective assignments. The orders were relayed by the 1st Sergeant Kammer to 1st Company and by Nad and Hoffman to 2nd and 3rd Companies. 2 platoons of 3rd Company were to surround the village. The men were explicitly ordered to shoot anyone trying to escape. The remaining men were to round up the Jews and take them to the marketplace. Those too sick or frail to walk to the marketplace, as well as infants. And anyone offering resistance or attempting to hide were to be shot on the spot. Thereafter, a few men of 1st Company were to escort the work Jews who had been selected at the marketplace, while the rest of 1st Company was to proceed to the forest to form the firing squads. The Jews were to be loaded onto the battalion trucks by 2nd Company and 3rd Platoon of 3rd Company and shuttled from the marketplace to the forest. After making the assignments, Trapp spent most of the day in town, either in a schoolroom converted into his headquarters at the homes of the Polish mayor and the local priest, at the marketplace, or on the road to the forest. But he did not go to the forest itself or witness the executions. His absence there was conspicuous. As one policeman bitterly commented, quote, Major Trapp was never there. Instead, he remained in Josfow because he allegedly could not bear the sight. We men were upset about that and said we couldn't bear it either, end quote. Indeed, Trapp's distress was a secret to no one. At the marketplace, one policeman remembered hearing Trapp say, quote, Oh God, why did I have to be given these orders, end quote, as he put his hand to his heart. Another policeman witnessed him at the schoolhouse, quote, Today I can still see exactly where my eyes made your trap there in the room. Oh, sorry. I was speaking as trap. Quote, today I can still see exactly where my eyes made your trap there in the room, pacing back and forth with his hands behind his back. He made a downcast impression and spoke to me. He said something like, man, something something, such jobs don't suit me, but orders are orders, end quote. ICE, you can always say no. Military, you can always say no. Police, you can always say no. I would mention a couple of the different times this year that ICE has raided homes, but there's too many to count at this point. The homes of people who have been taken are now being marked the same way that Jewish homes were marked in Germany, France, other places, to say this person was stolen from their home. It reminds me of 5 years ago with Breonna Taylor. Sleeping in her home. She never got justice. She still deserves justice, as do so many Black Americans. Again, I don't have enough time to talk about everybody, but that's what you are here for. So you can also make videos and posts and write about all of the people who are being taken right now. To record them now, because so much of this book was written 20 to 30 years. Well, not written, written down. A lot of the information from this book was written 20 to 30 years after Germany was taken down. The Nazi men in this book were just walking around after what they did, waiting for their trial. Decades for their trial. And you see here that so many of them talk about the horrors they saw, but I never did it. My friends never did it. It just happened and it was horrible. As one policeman noted, it was a small town and they could hear everything. Many policemen admitted seeing the corpses of those who had been shot during the search, but only 2 admitted having shot. Again, several policemen admitted having heard that all the patients in the Jewish hospital or old people's home had been shot on the spot, though no one admitted having actually seen the shooting or taken part. The witnesses were least agreed on the question of how the men initially reacted to the problem of shooting infants. Some claimed that along with the elderly and sick, infants were among those shot and left lying in the homes, doorways, and streets of the town. Others, however, stressed quite specifically that in this initial action, the men still shied from shooting infants during the search and clearing operation. One policeman was empathetic, quote, that among the Jews shot in our section of town, there were no infants or small children. I would like to say that almost tacitly, everyone refrained from shooting infants and small children, end quote. In Jospha, as later he observed, quote, even in the face of death, the Jewish mothers did not separate from their children. Thus we tolerated the mothers taking their small children to the marketplace in Jospha, end quote. Another policeman likewise noted, quote, that tacitly, the shooting of infants and small children was avoided by almost all the men involved. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why it seems so anti-humanitarian. During the entire morning, I was able to observe that when